meeting at 6 p.m., November 14th, 2022. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Sterling?
Here.
Mr. Thompson?
Here.
Sue Barogan? Mrs. Ranieri? Here. Mr. Smith?
Here.
Jill Barogan?
Here.
And Mrs. Smith, Meeks.
Chris Arduino, recording secretary.
Troy Yarborough, Superintendent.
Shelley Wagner, Human Resources.
Michelle, Curriculum and Instruction.
Josh Rand, Business and Operations.
All right, thank you. Before we start, I need a motion and a second to appoint Sharon Ranieri, Secretary Pro Tem.
Motion. Second.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Barogan? Mrs. Ranieri? Here. Yes, aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Jill Barogan?
Aye.
And Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Okay, so she's not here.
All right, thank you. I'll turn it over to Maria Nelson. Just go ahead. No worries.
Again, we have the students of the month from Olson Park. So here's the
Right,
flag right
awesome.
here. Come on in for October.
Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job, guys.
Good job.
I forgot instructions. Usually good for one lesson, right? So if the boards come around, we do have to get photos, so. And then I'll let parents and family come around and take photos. But why don't you come out here, I'm gonna have you all stand in the middle facing this way, and then I'll have our board members come around behind you, and we'll get a photo. You all get a great shot.
Great job, guys.
Good job. You guys all ready for your book fair this
Sorry,
week?
Ms. Nelson.
No, you're fine, Dad.
Good to see you.
Can we get one real quick? And then I'll get out of the way.
Good job.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Can you get it? Yes, right in front of us, please. Yes. Can you get it? You got it.
It's okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good job, guys.
Awesome job. Way to be the kids of the month. All right. I love that.
Yeah, that's good.
Can I get a motion and a second for approval of the agenda?
No changes?
There are no changes.
Motion.
Second?
Sue Barogan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ranieri? Yes. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
Mr. Sterling?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
I'll turn it over to Dr. Terrell.
All right, one of Mr. Smith's favorite parts of the evening. The mission of the Harlem Consolidated School District as a vital part of the community is to help diverse learners realize their unlimited potential by providing an educational program dedicated to academic excellence and the development of strong character in a safe and respectful learning environment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I need a motion for approval of the board minutes, October 18th, 2022, special and closed minutes, and October 24th, 2022, regular and closed minutes.
Motion?
Second.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Barogan?
Yes, aye.
Turn it over to Jason Bloom.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce you to one of our now 7th grade students. This is Miss Katie Hall. She's a 7th grader at Harlem Middle School. And I have with us Ms. Ingrid Hyde, one of our art teachers. Katie was named the 2022 contributor to the Harlem Administration Center Art Gallery, which is out in the hallway there. And so we're excited to showcase her artwork and her talent, but I'm going to allow Ms. Hyde to do all the explanation of the art stuff of this. So.
All right, so Katie's one of my amazing artists. She's still one of my amazing artists in my heart. All right, but she was chosen to be in the Rockford Art Museum with this piece. And then the students that got chosen for the Rockford Art Museum also got to be selected or were put up for a selection process by the elementary art teachers for our artist gallery in the hallway here. And this is Katie's selection piece. And in this piece, we studied Vincent van Gogh, his textured landscapes. And we had a lot of fun working with plaster and carving into it and then painting on top of it and layering the textures into the surface of the painting.
So obviously you can tell this is a phenomenal piece of artwork. And so as I think you are aware, the way that this works is that this will be on display until she graduates in 2028. 2 years from now, she will have the option to either take this home and display it maybe in a dorm room or something like that, or can leave it in the hallway for us to enjoy as well. So congratulations to you and well done. This is an awesome piece of art. And so. Yeah, before we come around again, so we can get a photo. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations. Take it back. All right, I got more. So, next up, I've got a few friends here. I'm going to ask to join me if they would come up to the front. As you all are aware, tomorrow, November 15th, is School Board Members Day. It's an opportunity in Illinois, across the country, but in Illinois specifically, where we get to recognize all of you for your service and your time, your effort, your energy, and all that you put into being a school board member. And so we had this great idea by Dr. Yarbrough to not just have my face be up here, but to see some cool kids, kids that were selected from their buildings to represent their buildings, but also to hand out cards. And so we actually have some more cards in the back as well, but each of these students' schools spent some time putting cards together as a way to say thank you to all of you for your time and your service. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we'll do a photo and say thank you that way. And they've got cards to hand you. Obviously, we won't read them all right at this moment, but we'll get those handed out. So I'm going to have, you want to go first? Let's see.
So I am Matthew, and I'm in 2nd grade, Maple School.
Okay, so this is our Maple representative.
My name is Jasmine, and I go to Rocco.
We've got a cheering section back here. Back over there. So.
I'm Leo, and I'm in 5th grade at I go to Ralston.
Awesome.
My name is Ruby, and I go to Ralston School in 2nd grade. My name is Lily, and I go to Ralston School, and I'm in 5th grade.
Awesome. Well, we thank you all for being here, and they wanted to be here to obviously thank you for all that you do for them and for our families in our community. And so they've got some cards. I'll let you just kind of hand them out, and then we'll come around and do a photo with our board, okay? We're gonna all come around and do
Yeah.
That one right there. Thank you so much.
Good job. All right, board, if you could come around though, because I obviously would like to thank these individuals for taking their time to come out. So we'll get a photo and honor you as well. So I'm gonna have you all turn around and face me this way. Let's go roll. One, two, three. Awesome, thank you.
Wait, there's more.
Oh, one more. Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Again, thank you all for your service. It's, again, it's great to see the little kids' faces and have them be here to celebrate you all. So, next up, now we got some older gentlemen that are here to. We want our picture taken.
Sixth grade.
So, this is our last recognition tonight, but we've got Harlem Roscoe Firefighters Fire Association here to present a check on behalf of their association. Over the past, we think 8 years, they have been raising money to support schools in their district, which include the Honolulu schools and some of our schools. And so over this time period, they've evolved from doing scholarships. Early on in the first couple of years, they awarded a graduating senior from either Honolulu or Harlem a $10,000 scholarship. I had the opportunity to be a part of that process. We saw some awesome candidates for that. But a few years in, they decided that, you know what, we could take this money and really kind of expand our reach and impact classrooms or full buildings with the money that they raised through their fundraising efforts. And so over the past couple of years, Harlem's received, we had a classroom full of Chromebooks that were donated. We had equipment that was donated to the welding program, and a few other donations along the way. And so these gentlemen put a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I've had the opportunity to go to their golf play days and be a part of that. And it's a lot of work that they put into it, but they obviously do that to support the students and the schools in their zone. And so I'll let one of the three of you say it.
So we support about 8 schools in our fire district. So we're donating over $24,000 to those schools in its entirety. So there's 3 of your schools. All we request is that this money stays with Ralston, Olson, and Harlem High School. So $3,000 apiece to each school. And then we're putting our outreach out to Kinnickinnick and Prairie Hill school districts. Use the money how you see fit. We didn't want to lock it down any which way, so each school can kind of determine how they want to use those funds. But we really appreciate what you guys are doing for our kids, and we want to continue to support them. So we'd like to award a total of $9,000 to the Harlem School District to use towards those 3 schools.
I will say that we've had some conversations about, they really wanted to have us look at the possibility of using this money to support mental health resources, our social emotional learning curriculum, et cetera. And so I've been starting to have some conversations at the high school, and then we'll be with the other buildings as well, to look at how we might be able to take some of that money in and really support some of the efforts around social emotional health and mental health. And so again, we are very grateful for the time that you put into doing this and your support. As you all have been around for quite some time, Harlem Roscoe is a great group to work with. They've been really supportive of all of our safety efforts, all of our emergency response, all of that stuff. They're a great group to work with, and so we really appreciate that relationship.
I'd like to mention Michael Sterling's been with us for a while too, as a supporter of our golf play day and our efforts there too. So we do appreciate you also.
Whatever you guys need.
Thank you so much. So the board will come around one more time.
You're getting a little check, you're not getting this check.
Alright, here we go, 1, 2, 3.
All good?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you guys.
I don't need the cash with me, I'll take it.
Yeah, right.
Got it this time.
There are no comments from the community at this time, so now we go into the riveting approval of the bills.
All right, thank you. Total payables this period were $1,062,934.93. There were void checks of $2,416.80. This shows 4 payrolls on there. Last time I manually read 2, so now it'll be kind of written on the agenda too. So there are 4 payrolls listed here for a total of $12,978,392.23. For total expenditures of $14,041,327.16. Split out by fund, the education fund paid $12,228,574.36. The tort fund paid $16,146.32. The operations and maintenance fund paid $526,571.13. The transportation fund paid $675,046.24. The IMRF Social Security Fund paid $477,548.27. And the Capital Projects Fund paid $117,440.66. Again, for total expenditures of $14,041,327.16. Are there any unanswered poll questions?
Turn over to communications. Yeah, sorry. Motion to approve the bills.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Brogan?
Aye.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Brogan?
Abstain.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye.
Okay, turning it over to communications and committee reports. Our next regular board meeting will be December 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. A reminder that December 12th, 2022 is the first date to file petitions, and December 19th, 2022, school board members' petitions the last filing date, so 7 days. A reminder of November 17th through the 20th is going to be our tri-conference in Chicago. If you guys haven't signed up for classes, make sure that the ones that you're going to go are there. All right, good, awesome. Reminder, Sunday, November 20th, 2022 at 3:45, there's the lights at the parade, parks in the parade.
Could you make that 3:30, a little bit earlier than 3:45?
3:30?
Yeah,
Okay.
for Josh.
Not a problem.
Here at the board office, right?
Here at the board office.
At the board office.
Okay. I want to thank all our students that came out today, all the different schools that were able to show their support. Let us see the kids and see what they do. Some of the administrators that are sitting back there, thank you for what you guys do. Probably hear a rock cut somewhere from Ryan, somewhere right there. Want to acknowledge that the high school team, football team that made it to the 3rd round, first time. That was a really, really good accomplishment. And to have those home games and see the stands full and even in the cold weather. So, I mean, thank the community for their support. It's going into that time of season where we are going to be starting our drive for Thanksgiving. We'll be getting a list of names for those families. If anybody wants to join with that again, we'll start that list. I know it's not optimal time being the 12th, but I'll get that started and then we'll get that going. Anything else? No, I don't have anything else to report, so I will turn that over to Jill Brogan.
Thank you, everybody. The next policy committee meeting was going to be December 19th, 2022. That was canceled due to insufficient press policies. So at the next meeting, we'll have the new date. I want to say congratulations to Zoe Shields on becoming the second ever girls swimming state qualifier for Harlem. Congratulations to the varsity boys bowling for placing second in the Lake Park Greg Edwards Invitational. This Wednesday, November 16th, Mod Pizza will donate 20% of their proceeds to Olson Park PTA, so be sure to get your orders in. If you use code MODF14220, that's the code you need. So make sure you put that in. I want to thank LaWanda Cooper, Keith and Candy Boozicross for walking and handing out all of the lights to all of the families. They came out of their pocket for those lights. The first round of bells that were purchased and donated to the families came from them as well. Thank you to our community partners who helped with the second round of the 500 bells for the football games. It was great hearing the bells both games. I think that's something that we should continue. That was really cool to see. A big congratulations to the football team. I mean, they made Harlem history, and they had a hard-fought year, and they never gave up. And it was cold, and the conditions were terrible, but they came, they fought, and they weren't going to let them shut them out. And it's been an honor to be able to watch them play all year and see the joy in their eyes. I want to say thank you to all the staff and the students for the bun cake, for the cards, for the posters. It really is an honor for me to serve you. It's a joy for me to be here and be here representing you. And let's see, thank you to the Harlem Roscoe Fire Department for their donation. I love the idea of that they would like to see the money go towards for the social emotional learning. Thank you to the Olson Park students for their pledge tonight. Congratulations to Coach Moynihan, our varsity football coach of the year, and all of our students that made first conference, all conference that was announced today. There's a lot of Huskies on there. So that is all I have.
Thank you. For Evelyn's part, I'm going to say the next Equity and Social Justice meeting will be December 1st, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. at the Harlem High School, W145. Be there. We went to the last one. It was good. Thank you guys for having us. Be it more. Thank you. Kurt Thompson.
Sure. Let me start with our next business services meeting here. It'll be December 7th at 6 p.m. right back here. Josh always does a thrilling job with that, so make sure you come and join. Echoing what everything's been said so greatly is congratulations to the football team making school history. Fantastic job there, again, with the weather conditions and how hard fought everything was. Also to all the coaching staff and the community. It's great to see everyone giving their all to such a great cause and doing so well. Let's see here. What's been hit that I can come up as well? So yeah, Zoe Shields, congratulations as well there. Katie Hall, the great artwork they'll be donning our halls here. Olson Park and Mrs. Nelson's, it's great to see them come in for the pledge. The great donation as well. We said the great ideas of where we can utilize that. And then I don't think we've mentioned as well all the Golden Apple nominations. Always coming in. It seemed like there was a great outpouring and quite a few that came in for Harlem this year. So great to hear that. Hopefully everyone does well as that comes through past the nomination phases. I think that ends my report tonight. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Larry Smith.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to all the board members sitting here. I really appreciate you. It's nice to get the appreciation for serving on the board, but it is an honor to serve. And I do want to thank Stella for the card that she sent me. It was beautiful, made my day. I also love the art. I just love that piece that was donated today. So keep it coming. All Harlem students just demonstrate the greatness that they can come to. And I wanted to recognize all the support staff for support staff appreciation. This school district wouldn't run like it does if it wasn't for the support staff in all of those buildings. It's a vital part of this community, the work that the support staff does for the Harlem School District. And we appreciate it, I appreciate it. So thank you very much to all the support staff. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Did you mention the meeting?
Did you miss me? I don't know what the theme is.
How could
What's
I
the
forget
theme, Larry?
The education committee meeting. It's coming up on December 13th, and I'm gonna a special invite out to all the support staff to come to the education committee meeting. It's such a treat to be there at the education committee meeting, so that'll be December 13th at 6 o'clock. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Sue Brogan.
Good evening, everyone. I will just kind of ditto what everybody else said. Sorry, my voice still isn't back to normal after 2 weeks of cheering on out in that cold for the football team. Ditto what everybody said. Congratulations to Zoe and the bowling team, football team, Katie Hall. That was a beautiful, beautiful piece of artwork. Thanks for Olson Park for the pledge. I just caught the end of it. Thank the Harlem Roscoe Fire Department. Thank the support staff. I did attend a few weeks ago the McChesney Park night at, I always want to call it Potbelly Pigs, but it's not, it's Potbellies. Potbellies. And it was a perfect night for soup and sandwich. Pay attention to those because those are all, we all got to eat, so those are good things to support. I think that ends my report.
Thank you. Sharon Ranieri.
Good evening, everybody. I'm dittoing what everybody said, but I also want to say I'm looking forward to Tri-Conference, learning lots more things for our school district. And I wanted, the red ribbon, when we had the red ribbon, Jill, Evelyn, and I went to Rock Cut, and it was amazing. The kids had fun. They had all little stations. Mr. Peroni was there running it. I really enjoyed it, and I think the kids did too, so. And that's all I have. He was, where's Waldo? And they thought he
Yeah,
was an inmate.
yeah.
The kids thought he was in.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was.
Thank you. All right, turning it over to administrative reports. Dr. Michelle Arp.
Thank you. I have a couple of items this evening. The first one is an overnight travel. Last year I brought forward for the basketball team to go to the State Farms Classic. It's coming up again this at the end of this year. And so they will be leaving on the 27th and be returning on the 30th. There's a lot of basketball in that short period of time.
Yeah.
Any questions in regards to that? All right, so the next one I'm going to put as all three for the same approval. I'm going to ask for approval tonight for the school improvement plans for Harlem Middle School, Windsor Elementary, and Rock Cut Elementary. So one of the focuses that we've made this past year is spending a lot of time focusing on the school improvement plans. And what data are we using and how are we knowing if it's working and how do we know if we need to make changes. So the last education committee meeting, the majority of the time was spent on everybody going over their set plans in quite a bit of detail. Because we received the SIG grant, which is the school improvement grant for both the middle school and for Windsor, those are two school improvement plans that need to be approved by the board. It goes with the funding source. We're at the last year from when the middle school ended up being a targeted school in 2018. They've been commendable ever since. Windsor in 2019 were targeted, and they've been commendable ever since, so they have funding this year and next year. But because of the fact we're bringing those two forward, Mr. Smith and I discussed bringing all of them forward, so the board does have an opportunity to see all the school improvement plans. But if you want to hear them in great detail, that is what our focus is. We'll do 4 more schools at our next education committee meeting in December.
to be there.
Thank you.
All right, turning it over to Josh Moon.
All right, my first item today is a CT progress update. Tracy Biederstadt, Carla Gupta, and Steve Wright from DLA are here. And Greg Cladar is also here from Ringland as our construction manager. If there's any questions related to that. So, would you mind hitting the power one?
Hit the power. Okay, so the next is like set the board on you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to give you an update on our progress for the Rock Cut Gymnasium addition as well as the high school addition and remodeling project. We've spent the last couple of months meeting pretty much every 3 or 4 weeks with administrative teams as well as some teachers and other representatives in the district talking about more detail as we went through a phase that we call design development to get more detailed information onto the documents. And we've developed the floor plan to a point where we believe we are finishing up 100% design development and would like to present the plans to you and the exterior elevations in anticipation of moving into the next phase of the project, which would be construction documentation. Also within the design development phase, our construction manager at about 50% design or 75% design development phase did a cost estimate. And so after I present the plans and exteriors, he'll be able to answer any questions and present the overall budget. During the 75% cost estimate, we did find that we were a little over budget, so we did also go through a process of value engineering, which looked at how we could make some more economical choices in structural systems, exterior material choices, and really create a more efficient plan. So this was a whole process of going back and forth and presenting these options to the administration. So as we continue to move forward through construction documents, we will still have other opportunities to do another cost estimate, which will again check the temperature of the economy and inflation, and if we find that we are over or under budget again, we will continue to have that, re-looking at costs of materials and reviewing with the administration team. So with that, I'd like to start off first showing you Rock Cut. Rock Cut is a gymnasium addition that we're planning. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. I'm going to start off with the high school edition. So, the high school edition, I think, as you may have known from previous presentations, is planned to be on the east side of the existing building, right now where the current practice soccer field is. So, the addition is about 26,000 square feet. Right now, we're looking at having a construction lab of about 2,000 square feet, a manufacturing lab of about 2,000 square feet, and a classroom for both of those spaces. When you enter into the main entrance, which is facing north, you will also have a clinic area as well that will serve all of the staff of the district. After you come into the main area, there's an open, what we're calling like a student commons, which will have a learning stair and an opportunity for presentations, as well as having many group activities in this general kind of common area. We also have a welding lab that has kind of two parts to it. There'll be a welding booth area down here, as well as some additional machinery in this area, such as a water machine and a welding classroom that can look out onto that area. Both of the welding area and the construction area will have exterior access and overhead doors to allow for deliveries of materials and kind of their own receiving area here. On the south side of the building, as you come around the addition, will be the automotive lab. The automotive lab is about 4,500 square feet and will feature 5 bays with large overhead doors, as well as a classroom of about 1,200 square feet here that can serve for both small and large engines. And we also have a classroom here that will have a nice view into the automotive lab for teaching opportunities and some
automotive storage as well. On the second floor, as you go up the learning stair, there will also be a conference room as well, and that will allow for a connection at the second floor level to some of the classrooms up on the second floor, such as science, so there might be some ability for some collaboration between many different disciplines, as well as connections to the first floor. Are there any questions about the plan before I move on to the exterior?
So the second floor is just gonna be like a conference room?
Right. It's mainly the learning stair, which I'll show you in a moment in a rendering. And because we had to make a connection to that second floor, we had some space up here, so there is going to be an area for a conference room.
How much square footage is that clinic?
The clinic is in total, you can see that it includes 3 exam rooms as well as some shared office space and a reception area. And I think in total, do you know offhand is it about 3,000 square feet? We can get you the exact number on that though. And on the plans, a little bit easier to read than it is up here, are the individual square footages of each space as well for the different rooms. So this is the front entrance and the north facade of the building. As you arrive, you'll be greeted with a lot of natural light coming in, and we have several opportunities for signage that we're currently working with developing with the administration. On your right here is the medical clinic area here, and here is the construction lab here, as well as kind of a screening area to screen off from the delivery area. On this facade here, we're showing that we would like to use a kind of a brown brick that would pull out the dark brown accents within the red and brick that's currently on the building right now. The existing brick, which has quite a bit of texture to it, you know, we wanted to pull an accent from that because we didn't want to try to match it, because after all this time it would be very hard to match. But we think having its own identity and pulling the brown out of that accent color would be very appealing. As you move around to the east side, you can see that we're taking advantage of the northern light as well, which is a nice, very soft, diffuse light coming in at the high windows here. Here is a look into the welding area. And as you move forward, you can see that we're able to bring in natural light, but we are keeping it high so that we're able to utilize all of that wall space for all of the equipment. Here, one of the value engineering options that we were able to do to save some money was to change from having an exterior all brick building to going with precast. Some of the things in kind of changed as we went into a couple months into the design process, where we were seeing the cost of precast coming down and it becoming more available. So that was one of the ways that we were able to save some money, and our intent is to have a nice texture to this, but that the color would be a very warm tone that would match the precast of the field house, which you can see, you know, right here. It basically is very right next to it. This is the south side. On this side of the building, you can see that we not only have the area for the automotive garages, but we're also utilizing kind of a courtyard area here. This is going to be a very kind of utilitarian industrial area that will house a new electrical service to the addition, as well as some of the equipment that's needed for the welding program and some of the gases that are needed. But one of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that we maintain the circulation all the way around the school to provide access still to the dock area back by the existing kitchen and dock area for the school. So, anybody have any questions or would like to say anything?
Just one question, and that would be, you're looking to change some of the materials because of the overages. Do you have kind of a general source where the initial overages came from? Was it material based? Was it any like procurement? Where did that come from?
It was a
And what
couple
made
of
you
different
change?
areas. I know that Greg could probably talk to that a little bit more specifics. He did a
Okay.
very detailed cost estimate. But what we did is then we tried to think outside of the box to kind of rein in some of those costs. And one of the things that we did do was look at the exterior envelope. And instead of doing a masonry bearing wall, we were able to find through Greg and his research in the area on costs that if we went to a precast panel, we could save a certain amount of money. So this design does reflect using the precast. We also worked with Greg and his team to discuss more efficient ways of doing the structural system. You know, if we were having masonry bearing or masonry walls for, say, the labs because of its durability and ease of maintenance, we wouldn't necessarily also need some steel columns. Let's try to make those bearing. And so we looked at several different approaches. One of the other approaches that we looked at was at the same time that we're trying to kind of trim some costs, we're wanting to get a lot more program, you know, into that square footage. So we really worked very hard with the administration and the teachers to come up with a plan that was extremely efficient from a circulation standpoint. You'll notice that there was very little corridor space. We tried to use every single inch. And so that also helped us save money. And then we cut out a mezzanine, a storage mezzanine, and tried to look at other options for providing that storage.
Okay, so I'm hearing materials was the major driver from original estimate to modified estimate.
I believe so. I think, you know, we did see a lot of cost inflation from that.
Sure.
But we looked at many different ways to try to then save the money.
Some of it was height too.
Height,
Yeah,
yes.
building,
Yep.
the building got a little shorter, though we still, I believe, we're at 22 foot on the panels and probably a 20-foot roof, so there's still a lot of keep space in there. The roof design got a little simpler.
Yep.
And I mean, they kind of squared it up. Doesn't look like it. I think they did a great job with still having a design that's attractive and a good space, but it's a lot more efficient. Like, again, load-bearing walls on the inside, we reduced the steel significantly. We hit just about every line. I mean, from the envelope, the roof, the metal panels, we reduced the metal panels. Even though there's a lot of glass in it and a lot of light, it was significantly reduced. The original had some clear stories that popped up.
Yeah. And we had kind of a more angled roof. And so we were able to simplify that, as you mentioned.
So
as well.
it was very collaborative, and it was just, it's part of the process. You know, you start out with the ideas, and my group practices work every day. So how do we keep those ideas? How does DLA incorporate them in and still give it a nice product, but yet recognize the certain realities that come with the budget? So it wasn't really one thing to say. There was at least 8 or 9 things that I know we changed. Collaborating to live with some of their ideas, some of them were our ideas. It was very collaborative and working with the staff.
And Greg and his team will be looking at another cost estimate in a couple of weeks based on a 50% CD, and so we'll go through this whole process again.
Okay,
So.
that helps.
How much square footage are you having to add at the back of the building for asphalt or blacktop or?
How much asphalt are we adding?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have the numbers on that. I can get those for you.
I might have those numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Good answer.
All right, yep. While he's looking those up, I'll just get over to the site plan.
I have one potentially obviously bad question, but I love asking those every once in a while. So as you can tell by this picture, perfect picture, space is a premium. So say it goes on 10, 20 years from now and we need more programming. What's the likelihood of going up from what we have as a structure?
For
On,
going
yeah.
up on this edition, it would not be likely.
Okay. Like I
Because
said,
the volumes of the spaces of these labs that we are doing are 1.5 kind of volume spaces. They need that height for all of the mechanical duct work, for distributing all of the gases to the welding booth, stuff like that. So as Greg mentioned, you know, we were a little bit higher, and now we're coming down to just, you know, make sure that we plan every route just perfectly. So I would say that in the future that would not be an option.
Okay.
And you would have to spend a lot of dollars now to get that structure and those things there.
The next question was, if you're going to go out there and do it, are you putting so much in there that you'd have to have that planned? It's not
Yeah,
a.
and you don't know that you'll ever use those dollars.
Exactly.
I mean, there's still opportunities to go to the east.
Okay.
And use a single-story structure. It's a decision, I mean, if you want to invest those dollars, but.
I like that someone has an answer to it, so I like asking questions that are kind of left field and getting proper responses, so thank you.
And the question on the asphalt, I have 5,000 square yards, which is about 45,000 square feet of asphalt, but that is all the way around.
Right,
That's
I
all
think
the asphalt.
currently the asphalt drive comes around here and then hugs pretty close right along here, you can see it here. So the amount that we're adding is this area here. So we will be adding some extra parking spots here as well as here, and this area over here is for the semi-turnaround. So the amount we're adding is just from here to here.
Isn't where the cutout is down at the bottom with the,
Here?
nope, up a little bit, right by the yellow down
Here?
to your left.
Here.
Nope, to your left.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here.
Yeah, that, right
Yes.
there. Is that, that's not the garage doors for the semis, is it?
No, that is,
That's their,
The bay doors, isn't it?
no.
No, it's the entrance.
That's
It goes into the hallway.
right there.
that's
Oh,
right here.
okay, I'm
That's
looking
right
at the
here.
wrong side, okay.
We will actually have a few more mechanical pieces of things sitting out here. There'll be a new transformer sitting out here, so it won't be quite this empty.
That's right, I have to run out of power now.
Yeah, so we have to reroute the power around, because otherwise it goes through this area now. So we need ComEd to reroute and reconnect it over there. So that'll be one of our longer lead time items.
So here is a view of inside the auto lab. We are planning a presentation on materials and colors, so we haven't had that yet. So right now, this is at the conceptual phase right now. But we are looking at using some accent colors, some sealed concrete floors, and you can see the high volume in this rendering. This is a rendering of the welding lab, not the area with the booths, but the area that has its own exterior access here by the dock, where we have the larger pieces of equipment and some storage racks. And this is the construction lab. Here, the area right now is looking at a large open space that could be flexible for like building. One of the things that we saw in one of the tours that we went to when we toured Hanenega's program as well as South Beloit's was they actually built like corners of a house from a little piece of the foundation all the way up from the inside to the outside of an exterior wall. A nice, maybe 6 by 6 foot piece of the exterior wall. And so this is the space that would allow for stuff like that to occur. And this is the learning stair. So you can see as you first walk into the space, on your left would be the medical clinic area, but you're going to be greeted with this nice grand entrance area. And there's plenty of surface opportunities for recognizing donors and displaying the students' work. And we'll have lots of opportunities of looking into the manufacturing lab as well as display cases. And this is the conference room up at the upper level that leads you up to the second floor access as well. And then we are also included in the project is a remodeling of the culinary lab and the early childhood education area. Here we were able to kind of think outside the box and get some more square footage for these spaces by taking over some corridor area so that those spaces could expand their square footage a little bit, as well as looking at future TV studio areas and business labs remodeling. Okay. Any other questions about the high school? Okay, I'll move on to Rock Cut's gymnasium. Here we're looking at putting a gymnasium addition on the north end of the building. We're looking at a gymnasium of about 3,300 square feet. We also include a conference room that seats about 10 people, a gymnasium storage area, and an office. This is a view of the exterior looking on the east side. Right now, we are looking at some different options of building signage. We've provided the district a couple of options. We have some meetings set up for, I believe, next week to review the interior materials and colors and finishes, as well as some signage options. So this is an early look. You get a peek. Tomorrow. It's tomorrow. So here's a peek at what we're thinking about for the inside, which would utilize the school colors. And we'll also be talking to the school as well about logo opportunities on the floor. And one of the other walls in this rendering, or in the gym, will also have the climbing feature. Okay, so that concludes what we have to present. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Greg and give you an update on how things are looking from a budgetary standpoint and schedule.
Start a little bit about the process. You know, we are still going to have complete drawings. So when we're looking at these drawings, we're looking at what they're going to be. That's why the communication with staff and with the designers are critical. We kind of break the buildings into more system components. We look at foundations, we look at assemblies, wall assemblies. We don't really, it's a little different process, forecasting what you think those are going to be. We use a lot of history for that. We've developed our own proprietary programs to do that. And we've had good luck with that. Going to the budget, the high school CT edition, the budget at this time around was $12,244,000. The renovations at the high school is $2,370,000. And within those numbers, we're currently carrying a little over $1 million as an equipment allowance. It's yet determined. I know that's not all the equipment on the job. We're still reconciling some of those programs with the district. So not all of that is construction. A lot of it makes sense to be in construction because they're more permanent parts of the buildings, particularly like in the culinary lab. How do you separate hoods and makeup air and all those other things? It's pretty typical that that's part of the room to be included as part of the construction budget, because we have to manage all the hookups and all the gas and electric and everything else. And then the budget for Rockcut Elementary School is $2,052,000 for the Rockcut Elementary, is where we're at right now. So, and this was a revised budget. Our original budget was not significantly higher, but it was higher than this. And the feedback from the district was why we went through the value engineering process. And then at Ringland, we ended up doing a whole nother budget because there was enough changes to be able to present that to school and not be able to give confidence to Josh and Dr. Yarborough that we were there. We went ahead and updated everything, and that's where we're at. Do you have any questions?
When you get the, you said 50% CD. Will that be, so right now the square footage shouldn't get any smaller at the moment? Like,
No, it went down a little bit with some of the DE items. So it went down about 1,000 square feet. Losing the mezzanine helped us.
Okay.
Because it wasn't just a return in this, how they put it together, it was another 400 or 500 square foot. Just to make the building more efficient, squaring up some of the things, they found some more square footage, so.
So even though we got rid of the mezzanine, we also got rid of some of the hallways, which made more
Correct.
classroom
Yeah.
space. So
Made
it really
more
wasn't
classroom.
any less classroom
Yeah.
space with that.
Yeah, probably not any less classrooms, but it was, the building got it got a little more square and a little more efficient, but you hope it would, you know, as the process goes through, it should get better. It should get a better design and more functional and cost effective if everybody's doing their job together, so.
Well, thank you. Anybody else?
So I just want to say that over the last 5 months, there's been a significant amount of work between Ringland and DLA and everyone on our side, from Jake to Jeremy to Patty to Mickey and I and Dr. Yarborough. Just there's a lot of people involved in that, and And that will continue for the next year and a half too, so there's a ton that goes into this, but I think the drawings look great and excited for what this means for our kids.
Yeah. Small questions, anything that we're seeing here and any notes that we have, can we be supplied that information?
Sure. I think you guys said, we'll get you the slides.
And this is the exciting stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and so even though the cost has come up, and keeping track of that and having some alternatives if we ever need anything, but right now it looks okay. So, and we are seeing a little bit of deflationary signs out there, in some areas, not in others. Some of the mechanical and equipment, I know Tracy laughs when I say that, but some of the equipment stuff is a long ways out, and the electrical stuff is a long ways out. So, who knows what the next year and a half is going to hold, but hopefully at least stays flat, right? Is that fair to at least hope for a flat? So, it's kind of where we're at. Dr. Albo, do you have anything?
I'm just thankful, for everybody that, in this process and getting through it. Obviously to the board as well, for investing in this for our kids. But two, I thought that there would be one important question that you were going to ask, and you didn't ask that question.
What that?
When are we breaking ground?
Yeah, when are we breaking ground? That's
I can take that one.
Sorry, I thought that was.
Yeah. My first day at Ringgold, my boss told me it's always about time, it's about money. So I was wondering, we were talking about the money, but we didn't talk about the time. And that's equally as important. So let me kind of take you through the schedule and we'll get to that. We're doing another budget here in December. We're looking for late January, early February to go out to bid with the different bid packages. So we've got all the different bid packages that we'll bid at the subcontractor level and receive bids here at school, similar to your normal process. Then we got a couple weeks to make sure we've got through those things, we're complete, that they don't have gaps. And plan on presenting it for approval, the GMP approval with the March school board meeting. And groundbreaking, probably early April would be groundbreaking.
My birthday's in March, so that works.
Yeah, so we don't really, the electrical's a big deal. Essentially, we're putting in the infrastructure, the conduit to support around the building, because we got to refeed that to the existing. And let's hope we don't have some storms at the end of May. We got about a week window to do that between when school gets out. So if we start any earlier, we've got some site work and prep, but we're really not going to be able to get deep into foundations and other things until we get the electrical rerouted. And the hope is that week right around the end of May, beginning of June to do that. And then in the fall, we'll get the new service to support the construction because the CT gets into service. So really that is just moving the line so we can keep the school up and we can work there. So, to answer your question, hopefully early April, we'll all have our shovels out there and we'll be breaking ground.
I'll help you dig.
Okay.
Any other questions on the schedule?
No.
Is it the same, is rock cut, is that the same, you looking at that being concurrent?
Rock Cut has the opportunity to get about a little bit ahead, and we've talked about that those don't have to be connected to the high school project. I haven't talked to Dr. Yarborough Josh yet about exact times, but we could go out to bid for that early in January or possibly December and January. But my guess is the sooner we get out to it, the better it's going to be in the market. That's a good time at the first of the year. And I know a lot of subs are looking to fill their year up. They get a little nervous when they have a new year and they're like, oh, what are you going to do this year? So I think from a timing standpoint, historically, I think that's the best time to go to the marketplace. So I believe Rock Cut will go out a little earlier, procure the steel a little bit earlier. Again, I don't see a lot of work happening until school starts, but if we can get HAC equipment and others, we can get that done and hopefully get a fall finish on that gymnasium.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good? All right. The next item is a recommendation to approve a resolution declaring surplus property at Parker Center and the Administration Center. Next, I have a recommendation to approve a facility request. There are two, one for indoor soccer practice with AFI Soccer at Rockton and a Dvorak tournament in December. Any questions about either of those? My next three items relate to the tax levy. So I'll read those and then just give just a couple brief notes. The first time is a recommendation to approve the resolution to levy FY22 taxes for certain purposes. There's a recommendation to approve the FY22 tax levy resolution. Just one note, the resolution that's noted also references the levy certificate, so it actually goes together. We vote on them separately, but they go together. And then the recommendation to approve the certificate of FY22 tax levy. I did give you 2 pages there. In one of my reviews, I noted that the bond payment for the upcoming year is 2.2. It said 2.1 before, so I hit a 1 instead of a 2. That's not on any of these resolutions that we file. I just an FYI for you guys. Another note too is there's some legal requirements on things we have to note in the tax levy that are new this year, and one of them is the cash balance. So I attached our packet and put cash balance, but it never says from when, so I put what we put in the budget as what we started the year and where we're projected to end the year. One note about cash too is we give that in every treasury report, and it's in the budget too. So we provide cash quite a bit, but that is online in case there's ever any question. That was posted online there too. And just another note that this tax levy is levying 4% and not the max 5% that we were allowed. So our hope is that continues to pace our expenses, but not taking the full levy this year.
Thank you.
Are there any questions on the tax levy? Okay. My next item is a recommendation to approve the school maintenance project grant. And I did put a memo at your place too about that grant. We have done this grant twice before, once to redo a lot of the auditorium area with new speakers and new brains to help control that area. Last year, we wrote in the brick repair at the high school, so we spent a lot of the year investigating what the scope of that is. DLA helped with that. Our plan is to work with Bragg and Ringland while our masons are there and have those repairs done. I think it's fair to say that investigation came in slightly better than what we were hoping, or what we had expected, that underneath the brick material in the walls. So we've got a few areas to touch up, but it wasn't worst case there. But we haven't spent those funds yet because we've been investigating. So what I'm proposing in this grant application is to write in repairing the catwalk and beginning to do some of the lights in that area. For us to put new lights on there, we want to do some structural beefing up of that catwalk. The options were to replace the catwalk, and that was a pretty costly piece, or we can make repairs and then begin to put the new lights on that and upgrade those to LED lights. Is that fair, Tracy? Yes. So this grant is a $50,000 matching grant opportunity, so we would pay 50 and the state would pay 50. So even when this is done, we would then take a look at what do we have left for lighting, what does the remaining piece of that look like. But when you look at redoing the auditorium, redoing the catwalk, and redoing the lighting, that's a significant amount of work. So we're moving along that path. But any questions, thoughts, concerns on that? This grant application is due by Thursday, so there's a docket for you to sign in that stack, and so we'll submit that in the next couple of days if the board's good with that. Okay. The next item is a recommendation to approve the FY23. Actually, this would be, we're submitting it in 23, but it would be for next year, property tax relief grant application. I was hoping, so there's $49.7 million available. We fall at 68.6. So while it's still a possibility, it's a little more unlikely. I was hoping that we did move up, but not enough to be guaranteed in that top half. So we'll see who submits. This is a one-click button with the state, and I did give you guys a handout of that too. So the maximum possible tax abatement is $4,950,000. They do take off some percent, about 7.3%. So the amount that we would get from the state would be $4,593,000. We would have to abate the 4.9, and we did that last time too. It would be a big positive for us, but my gut tells me that we're not going to get it this time. But it doesn't hurt to apply, and then we'll see.
Well, I think we are going to get it.
All right. I hope you're right.
There's a chance.
There's a chance, yeah. Are there any questions on that?
No, I'm glad you applied.
Okay. Next is a recommendation to renew a 15-month agreement with Panorama Ed for Harlem Middle School MTSS team at a cost of $18,050 paid with Title I and Title II, Title I
SIG
SIG.
grant.
Yeah, school improvement grant. And that 15 months is lining up through the end of the year. So, any questions on that? All right, my last item is a recommendation to renew a 1-year digital subscription from Mastery Manager for grades 7 through 12 at a total cost of $19,657.95, funded by the instructional services budget. Any questions on that?
Just the call that we did from the business services meeting, just, it sounds like a great service that not all the teachers are utilizing. So just a bigger push by the staff to potentially utilize it, or the opposite, right? If no one is using it or there's reasons to not use it. Yeah, I mean, it's not, because right now if you do based by teacher, by cost that it is, it's still quite expensive. So just seeing if we can utilize it, there's lots of pros that were brought up at the meeting of why it's there, but just seems like we have a lower adoption rate for it, so that'd be my only call out.
Any other questions or comments on that? And that is my report.
Thank you, sir. All right, now I'm turning it over. Yep. Dr. Shelby Wagner.
Thank you. Tonight I have the recommendation to approve the personnel agenda and no addendum tonight, just the agenda. So we have 3 transfers tonight, 2 Federation Bank requests, 18 employments, and there's a shift on the resignations. So there were 11 listed, but I would like to bring 10 because fortunately Tara Heaslip has decided that she wants to stay with us and is asking to withdraw her resignation. So 10 resignations.
Thank you.
That'll be it.
Thanks, Kim. Turn it over to Dr. Troy Yarbrough.
Okay, thank you. Before I call it Mr. Bloom up for the riveting long-range plan presentation. I wouldn't be me if I, beforehand, so I'm able to back up again. For everyone in the room who was a part of, both the CTE edition and the Rock Cut edition, that's huge for our students and for our community. It reminds me of when the field turf, when we were ahead of the game with the field turf, and now with our CTE, in our pathways, because I get calls all the time from other districts who are jealous of what we're doing right now, and so I just want to give it up, take a moment to give it up to everybody in the room who's a part of this. So again, that wouldn't be me if I didn't do that. So thank you for that, and now I turn it over to Mr. Bloom.
All right, thank you. So this evening I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the long-range plan for Harlem School District for the years 2022 through 2027. As I presented at our last board meeting, I gave you a glimpse into the goal statements and priority statements that were recommended by our task force. And so back this spring, after we had done some vision sessions and collected input from various stakeholder groups through surveys, we had a task force comprised of about 20 stakeholder representatives that included students, staff, community members, parents, and so that group brought recommendations forward to our administration team to review and to ultimately come up with a plan and tactics or strategies for. And so this year or this go around I should say, we are doing things a little bit differently, as I mentioned before, in that as we write our strategies, and so as we talk about the work that our admin team is leading with our staff and with whatever stakeholder groups that need to be involved, our focus and our work is going to really be on a year-to-year basis. And so we're going to look at what is it that we want to achieve each year, and then we'll come back to this group, to the board, to review what's occurred, how we've progressed, but also then to bring forward new strategies that we'll be working on for the following year. This approach, I believe, will allow us to pivot a little bit more and be a little more responsive to the needs and some of the outcomes that occur during the year of progress. So, an example you see here, this is called Volume 1. So obviously next year will be Volume 2. And so we'll have a chance to, as a board, but also as an AMA team, give out that information about how things worked, but also take recommendations and also make adjustments as necessary and set new, more short-term goals for ourselves. As you remember in the past, we would say, 3 years from now, we're going to achieve this. And we would do that, and then that was kind of it. And so this is going to allow us to continue to kind of take steps towards, allow us to realize short-term goals and progress, and hopefully keep us moving forward. So the long-range plan, let me back up a second here. We did not, as a admin team nor a task force, do we examine our district's mission statement or our beliefs. We felt at that time that these were appropriate and still really an integral part of who we are and represent what we're about in this district. And so we did not have further discussion about making any alterations to our belief statements or our mission statement. One of the things that we did, and you'll see in the document that is attached to the agenda for tonight's board meeting, is that we categorized our goals into 3 themes: student learning, learning conditions, and vetting educators. We did this in alignment with the Illinois State Board of Education's strategic priorities, where they have those 3 priorities listed. They actually have an equity priority as well, but our group discussed the integration of equity throughout all of these 3 themes, and so we did not name that specifically, and we felt like these 3 themes aligned to the goal statements that were proposed by our task force. So what I want to do tonight is just take you through these goals, give you a little bit of a brief rundown of how we got to these goals, and then quickly highlight what our admin team will be doing with these goals and the strategies that we're implementing or putting into play this year in attempts to continue to work towards these goals. So the first goal statement we have is all students will provide a continuum of learning experiences that prepare them for life after high school. And so one of the things that we added this time was what we would call a priority statement. It's a way for us to provide a little bit of additional information to the goal statement, but also for us to name specifically what we're about as it relates to the goal statement. And so one of the things that came out of our vision sessions and really spoke clearly to our task force was this idea that, like, what is our responsibility across all ages, all grade levels, to prepare kids for life after high school, all the way down to birth. And so, we have Birth to 3 program, and we have, it was really encompassing that whole piece. But also this idea that, like, if I'm a second grade teacher, for example, what is my role in preparing for kids for life after high school? Not just what am I preparing for next year in 3rd grade, but what is my role in that? And so really looking at the big picture when it comes to how we are providing experiences for our students. We heard a lot about pathways in our vision session input. There's a lot of focus on those experiences, work-based experiences, internships, that type of stuff. Things that we all assumed would be present in the feedback that we received, but heavily focused on pathways and that type of stuff. And so you can see there, we have a few different strategies that we're focusing on in relation to this goal statement. One thing that I didn't mention is that when you look at the long-range plan, us as district level administrators are the ones that are taking the lead or in the facilitation of these strategies. Our building level principals really will be owning their own school improvement plans. They're focused on their internal. They will obviously be involved just like our staff will be and other stakeholder groups. But when you look at these different items, individuals such as myself or Mickey or Josh or Shelly or Jake or district level administrators are the ones that will take the lead in facilitating this work. And that was through some feedback that we received from the last time that we did that. We really we divvied this up across, and so we put a lot on our principals to do their own things, and they're managing their buildings and their SIP plans, but then also to take on some of this. And so we decided as a group that it was important for us to take the lead, and then obviously we involve those individuals as necessary. So you see a few of the things that we'll be focusing on this year. Obviously we're like 3 months into the year, and so some of this work is already underway, but we wanted to really focusing on what are the things that we're doing that are really new and new focus areas for us within our roles, and so you can see those there. The next goal statement under student learning is the district will provide opportunities to engage and connect students beyond the classroom through interest-based activities. So two very loud things that came out of our vision sessions and input surveys was really, what are we doing to expand the connection and opportunities for kids to connect at the elementary level? Really looking at what types of extracurricular activities, how do we connect our kids to peers? But then as you look at the priority statement there, you see that, and I apologize, there's a missing space there, but also connecting our students at all levels to our community, to careers, to businesses and organizations within our community. And so we heard a lot about this, like focusing on connecting. You see one of the strategies that we're working on will be work-based learning opportunities. And so really focusing on connecting kids to interest-based activities, which I think is a really cool thing. And so you see those couple of strategies that are focused on this year. One other thing to mention, I apologize, and I'm backing up here a few times, but throughout this, you're going to see a lot of plans. This initial first year, there's a lot of developing plans and assessing things and really kind of looking at what's currently happening and what's currently in place. And so a lot of the outcomes that will happen throughout the course of this year, by this next summer, are going to be completed. The completed versions of those things are going to be plans. They're going to be, here's what we learned, or here's what we assessed, or here's what we developed, and then we're going to start to implement. And so you're going to see a lot more of that plan language in these strategy statements. In the learning conditions, we have the district will utilize the building and facility maintenance cycle and assess the current and future program needs. And so out of the sessions, we really wanted, and we heard a lot of focus on facilities and making sure that our facilities are meeting the needs of our programming. And so when we look at the programming, our pathways, and all the different things that we do in our buildings, that where our facilities are able to support that, both current and future. And so making sure that we're prepared for what's yet to come, but also responding to the things that are current needs that we have. One of the other areas that really came out, which was really interesting to me, was really the idea of just that, for lack of a better term, beautification of our property. And what does it look like to really invest in the aesthetics of our property and our facilities, and that individuals on our task force, but also those that completed the surveys really said, we're proud to be part of the district and we want to be proud of our facilities and want to make sure that they look really nice and all that type of stuff. And so those were kind of two key things that came out of the input that we received. And so we have a couple things that are planned for this year in regard to those themes that came forward from our surveys and from our task force. Next up, we have the district will foster and continue to grow an environment that promotes the social, emotional, and physical growth of all students and staff. As you probably can assume, this was probably the top thing that we heard in our surveys and vision sessions. It was really about social, emotional learning and what are we doing to support the whole child. And so we really obviously have been focusing on this and will continue to focus on this and continue to evaluate the things that we're doing. One of the things that you see at the bottom there, one of the strategies is about assessing the early development instrument. So a handful of months back, you all approved an opportunity for us to work with UCLA, Alignment Rockford, and RPS to do a survey of kindergartners. And so we're going to bring the community into that data, bring you all into that data, and really look at that. But this focus on social emotional learning was key. But we also had some interesting conversation both at the admin level and the task force level about the idea of adding physical growth to there. And we went back and forth on whether or not physical growth should be part of this strategy. And what we really decided was that we all play a role, especially as a school district, in ensuring that our kids' basic needs are met. And I think an example of that is, our Food Nutrition Services Department worked on getting, waived meals for the next, 4 years. And so really saying, we're about making sure that our kids' needs are met, whether it be food, whether it be clothing, those basic needs. And so we ultimately, as we talked about wellness and those basic needs, determined that physical growth should be a part of this goal statement. Let me go back to apologize. One last thing for this one too was safety. That was another key area that came up, was really about ensuring that our environments are safe. And so we wanted to make sure that we include safety in that as well. And so well, I might be missing that goal statement, but it should be on your sheet. So the district will create an equitable environment where all stakeholders feel valued, supported, and safe. And so our task force really looked at the focus on equity and what we're doing as a district in regards to our equity work, but really about that safety piece and ensuring that people feel physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially safe in our spaces. I apologize, it should be on your document, but it's not up here. The last goal statement.
Yeah, I know.
What's that?
We don't have it either.
We'll get it.
All right, well, it's actually there. I'll tell you what the strategies are, sorry. I told you at the beginning of this, I messed up usually one thing. So the two strategies that we're focusing on for this goal is to finalize development of the district standard reunification plan. And so one of the things that we've been working on since the training this summer, specifically Dr. Reed and myself, is starting to develop our district reunification plan. I know for the board that was at the Kishwaukee dinner, they talked about some different organizations that have put work into reunification methods to emergency standard response protocols. And so we've been working with the I Love You Guys Foundation. And so that's a group that's really kind of leading some of this work in reunification. And so we will be focusing on that this year, working on our reunification sites, all of that. But then also the other strategy will be develop an equity assessment tool for policies and procedures. And that's actually coming out in your Equity and Social Justice Board Committee. There is a subcommittee that is tasked with coming up with an equity assessment tool where we can start to evaluate our policies and procedures to ensure that they're equitable for all students, staff, and families. And so those are the two strategies for that goal statement. I apologize if that is not up here. Lastly is elevating educators. And so what we actually did as an administrative group is we decided to add an additional goal statement. So this goal statement was not presented to us by the task force, but we felt like it was important for us to really ensure that we're investing in our staff. And so we as an admin group, when I say admin group, our principals and our district level leadership worked on this goal statement, and ultimately with the idea that we really want to try to focus on our staff and support them to make sure that they feel honored for what they're doing, but that they feel that they have the tools and the resources that they need to be successful. And so out of that, two of the strategies that we'll be focusing on this year, one, again, from the Equity and Social Justice Committee, is developing that professional development plan for equity and really looking at onboarding for our new staff, but also reoccurring training for our current staff. But then also from the HR department is reviewing their onboarding process, and so really assessing what the onboarding process looks like for their staff initially. So those are two of our first kind of strategies or activities that are focused on this last goal statement. So I know that was a lot, and I apologize for the error in the document missing that one strategy or one goal statement. But are there any questions before I make the recommendation to approve the 22 to 27 goal statements?
What does going good?
What you had talked about at the last board meeting, that there was going to be a system built into this to review progress and give feedback. Is that going to go through the board? Is that going to go through the education committee? Is that going to be scheduled multiple times per year? Have you worked that,
right,
the
so,
logistics of that?
Part of it, where it goes depends on what it is. But yeah, at the very least, it will be an annual update because they're all written in a frame that says, you know, essentially by the end of this school year, we will complete each of these strategies. Where it goes to in regards to some of these will maybe go to Ed Committee, or obviously two of them will go to our Social Justice Committee for approval. All of that will come back to the board. What we're doing with the website, that when people click on the long range plan on our website, they will have an opportunity to see our progress towards that, but it's, I have to put that little caveat that like, it's just kind of visual representation, like that we've achieved it, and if we have achieved it, here's where you can see the results of it. But it's really gonna kind of look like, if we've got 4 strategies for a goal, they're really gonna be kind of broken down in 25% increments. And so you'll kind of get an idea of where we're progressing, but then the end results will all be housed there. So if we develop a plan to, develop the equity professional development plan, that will be posted there once it's completed. And so people will be able to see what the completed plan looks like.
To go right off of what you just said, what would a developing an equity professional development plan for staff kind of look like?
So what we would do, just as our instructional services department does, where they're continually evaluating the professional development opportunities that are made available, really it would be, what are we making available and how are we making it available? And so our subcommittee that really hasn't started yet will start to develop that plan. When are we going to make sure that we have opportunities for our new staff to kind of get caught up to speed on some of the tools and protocols that we've learned over the years? And then how does that fit into a schedule with school improvement days, institute days, et cetera? Are we going to look at trying to provide after-school trainings? And so it's really developing that plan to how we deliver that, but then also what is it that we need. For example, we have a new requirement with the state of Illinois that we have a implicit bias training that's all staff receive, and so we have to figure out how do we do that, and then how do we do that as we are continually rolling in new staff, how are we ensuring that all of our new staff get that every single year? So
Correct.
That's
30, 60-day onboarding practice to do
the
that.
gist of all of that. But then
Okay.
we also will do a review process too to ensure that what we're offering is meeting our staff's needs as well.
Thank you.
So to carry off of what Larry was saying, and I love the fact that there's so many artifact-based solutions at the end so we can review it. Those are all going to be housed and owned on this site once that goes live?
Yes, because some of them, they will be maybe only there, and they may be in other places. It kind of depends on what it is, because some of these, so you look at like the review process for onboarding, that's going to be more informational than it is like really a public, like all of our public stakeholder groups don't necessarily need to know what our onboarding review process looks like, but they need to know that it happened and that we achieved it and that, this is the result of the work, but it does depend on the strategies.
So like, for example, once we're done with the profile of a graduate, right, that's gonna be online.
That's gonna be a lot more
You're gonna be able
places
to
than
see
that.
it.
Like, that would be something that would be a lot more visible than just on this site. But certain things that are gonna be.
But like a reunification plan, we can't
No.
just post, so that it really is gonna depend.
I guess it's just making sure, everything's great, but making sure we can check in the progress, we can follow up. As long as we've got somewhere, there's basically a key or map saying this is where everything exists. So obviously if it's public facing, it can be public facing. If it's not, this is where you go to get to it.
And back to Larry's question is that as things develop, these things can come back to you. We're setting the goal of that, we have these done, but there's a handful of these things that fall under my realm, and so some of them will get achieved in the next few months, and some will take a few months longer than that, and so you may receive updates throughout at different committee meetings or at the board level, but ultimately we're setting the task for ourselves to be done or ensure that we're done with these strategies by the end of the school year or into the summer. So.
Well, and you're gonna develop the strategies for next school year before the end of this school year. So it would make sense to have that annual meeting where you would talk about this school year, what was accomplished, and then next school year, what our strategies are.
So, and this is my first attempt at going this direction, and so the way I see it playing out is, that by the end of the school year, that we're showing you what's been done, and then that's giving us some time in the summer to kind of continue to plan. So it wouldn't be happening at the same time because
Right.
we have to allow you the opportunity to provide input and feedback, hear the progress, but also give ourselves time to make adjustments and once we develop these plans and all that type of stuff to make that kind of next set of strategies for volume 2. Any other questions? And lastly, I will share a document with you. It's actually a website, but I will share it with you so that you get a chance to, if you want to look at all the survey results, that type of stuff, I will share that with you. You can take a look at it.
Very cool.
Thank you, Mr. Wu.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 1 second.
Yep.
Before we go on to approval of stuff, can I ask a question to the administrators about the CTE?
Yeah.
Before we move on to approvals of anything, I had a question for administrators, staff, whoever, for the CTE. How many kids right now are we projecting to be in classrooms that first year?
It depends on, like, because the pathways themselves will have an intro class, and then, you know, like, auto's a good example. There's long-gas handles, auto 1, auto 2, potentially auto 3, which could end up being an internship. So we're looking at, if I have to add up the numbers individually, and sometimes the numbers actually, because they're double blocked, so that there's only 3 classes, but they happen twice, so it's actually kind of like the equivalent of double, because they, instead of taking a 45-minute math class, they're taking a 90-minute auto class. But the capacity, we're looking at increasing versus the current space. So the current space, we're at about 18 per class for welding and roughly 18 to 20 for auto. That'll jump up by probably close to 20% or so. So we're in the low 20s, low to mid 20s for welding, and then mid to like 25 or so in auto. So 3 classes a day per teacher would be about between 60 to 75 students times, you know, times 2 for each semester, but they'll be spread out. So there'll also be some kids up in internships as we continue to grow. And then right now we don't have a construction program, so that's going to be much, much bigger. As far as that capacity, that'll grow as well. So because we have to get the kids in intro, first, and then, you know, intro to building trades, however that curriculum's going to end up looking. And then likewise, the manufacturing side's a little bit bigger because the intro classes are classroom-based at first, and then they go into the lab space. So there's 30-ish students in those introductory classes and in the intro to engineering, and then when they're going on the actual machines, there'll be, which again don't exist yet, but that's why we're doing this, right? Should be in the same 20 to 25 range. So any given moment, you're looking at 25 kids in welding-ish, 25 kids in auto, 20 or so kids in construction, 20 or so kids in manufacturing. So that's 80 to 100 kids per period, and we're hoping to run at full capacity throughout the day.
So my assumption is
essentially double. We're going to double the number of students who are being served by the space just by adding construction and manufacturing and the additional spaces to automotive and welding. So right now we, you know, have kids who struggle to get into those classes. We're probably still going to have that issue no matter how many blocks we have, but the intent is to build this space when it's up and ready to run.
And in addition, in addition to that too, by bringing auto and welding on campus, that opens up a lot more access to our kids as well, you know, because now we're cutting out that travel time, you know, so that kind of prevented us from doing some things too. So my numbers will increase. Because
I think the key number difference is going to be not necessarily the number of kids in the program, but the number of students who are going to be in the 3rd and 4th year. Mm-hmm. So right now, we have a lot of seniors who are in auto 1, which is good because they weren't able to get into it until they were seniors. We want those students in auto 1 as a sophomore or junior, so that when they graduate, they're now not exposed to the automotive field, they're in the automotive field, and they're, you know, making a nice healthy income with a trade that they've been trained for right out of graduation, or going to that next level when they go to a school like Rock Valley's auto program, or if they go somewhere else, hopefully stay in the area.
And that was going to be my next question is how many are we starting currently, so that when that is completed and going, the kids that'll be senior year then will be in the automotive class with the bays and the...
Auto and welding should be very smooth. They should move right over. So like the current welding 1 and welding 2 students will go right into 2 and 3, and their projects and stuff should carry over pretty well. We'd like to get some introductory courses for manufacturing and construction going before, because I've been saying this since we kind of started the planning process. We want to grow into it instead of, you know, like, now what do we do? You know, we definitely don't want that. So
and I'll go ahead and say, we actually do have some of the introductory courses. So when you look at the College and Career Pathways on isbe.net, they, like industrial tech is an entry-level class for a lot of the pathways. And then from there, they start to diverge. So some of the classes, and we're noticing, there is a little bit of overlap between, I think it's engineering and manufacturing in some of the courses that are offered. So there is a little bit of, where students can still kind of branch off. But the introductory courses for both of those are there. I think it'll be a matter of trying to be a little bit strategic about getting more students into there. Right now, we have a lot of students going into welding, and a lot of students who get turned away from welding, but a lot of students who do that are only doing it because we don't currently have construction and manufacturing. So this will be able to help us provide for those students' needs. We still are certain we'll be running a full program for welding. But then because of those introductory classes already being there, we'll start to be able to build out into the manufacturing and construction.
Yeah, and the goal is that it's growing capacity and that 100% of the students, or as close to 100% as possible, that's my field, that's what I want to go into, as opposed to like, oh, that sounds interesting, or that sounds interesting, that this is the career path that I've chosen based on regional need, based on opportunity, based on long-term growth opportunities, so that we're providing the community with the workforce for them, and then our students have a really good livelihood when they leave us.
So it's a really good point to make that even though we haven't started construction of the building, we have started in the classroom sizes, in the classroom academics of it.
And with that space that you guys have seen, like it's speak now, forever hold your peace, like you're good with that.
Well, no, we would like another 100,000 square feet. But we've made the most use of the space that we have, and I think that the teachers have had some input. It's been hard because we had to give and take a little bit here and there. But I think at the end of the day, we've reached a good compromise.
Current welding space that's out there now is 2,500 square feet. What he's getting welding and fabrication is going to be 4,300 square feet. And I'll tell you, what he has is as big, if not bigger, than any of the programs we've taken a tour of so far.
Correct. We just went to where we had McHenry, and that was brand new, huge building with. They had CNCs, and then they had the welding. No, that's what I'm just asking. Like you guys.
Yeah, I'd love to add another couple bays for the automotive and.
Well, I'm just saying that what you saw.
I'm
just saying what we saw tonight. Like we're good.
It'll make us regionally competitive with every other district. It's smart, Another thing not to forget about too is that a lot of the construction kids will be on a building site. A lot of the, so we have with that space, that also allows us to work with Habitat for Humanity, hopefully, and they're building a house too. So we got, and then the internship opportunities that this space could afford us, because if a student has 2 years of welding, they're in a much better position to go and immediately start working at an internship while they're a senior in high school. So that's classroom space that costs us nothing other than the supervision of the students. So that really helps us expand our opportunities as well.
And back to your question about the education, Sue, is we also are making a district-wide effort to actually reach these kids starting in as low as like kindergarten. We want to start introducing them to different job opportunities. I'm working with second graders, just bringing in guest speakers, taking field trips, anything they can do at those levels. And definitely by the time they get to 5th through or 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they're getting career fairs, they're getting opportunities to job shadow. We're bringing a lot of that into them now that previously we haven't really had a dedicated space for that.
Well, I know like the welding program, for instance, when we took the tour of the building and stuff, until you sat down and did the computer programming.
My favorite part.
Yeah. Where the competitions began, the simulators. That's kind of what changes your perspective of the program for a young kid. So what is the likelihood of moving forward with getting that stuff to get them interested at the younger age?
100%. We're working on career fairs. CNC hosts one every year. This year it's going to be for our 7th and 8th graders. It's March 8th, if anybody would like to come up to the soccer complex. And then we're looking at April 5th for a freshman career fair out at the soccer complex, but that date's not final yet. So the chances of someone between 7th, 8th, and 9th grade getting that experience and hands-on. We had Bill and some of the students out. He brought a bunch of his welding equipment. The students are getting a lot more exposure to that. And we're definitely trying to get them younger, so when they're picking their pathways, they have a little bit of knowledge about a lot of stuff.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay, moving on to.
I still gotta read the FOIA.
Yes.
Just, you got it.
Sorry.
Sorry.
We're just on that.
Just gotta make sure.
I'm gonna move on to Dr. Troy Yarbrough.
Sorry, Mike.
We're good.
Freedom of Information Act request dated October 21st, 22nd from Smart Procure requesting all purchasing records from 7/21/22 to current, and the district response dated 10/31/22 with responsive documentations. And that will end my report.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. 12A, can I get a motion to approve the personal agenda? No addendum.
Motion.
Second.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Barogan?
Aye.
Ms. Ranieri? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
12B, I need a motion to approve student travel requests.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Barogan?
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
12C, approve facility requests. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Barogan?
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye. 13A, can I get a motion to approve school improvement plan for Harlem Middle School?
Motion.
Second.
Sue Barogan?
Yep. Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Forgot Mr.
Sterling.
Sterling,
Oh,
you
Mr.
mean Smith and Sterling.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Mr. Sterling and Mr. Thompson.
13B, can I get a motion to approve school improvement plan for Windsor Elementary School?
Motion.
Second.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
And Sue Barogan?
Aye.
13C, can I get a motion to approve school improvement plan for Rock Cut Elementary School?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Barogan?
Aye.
And Mrs. Ranieri? Aye.
13D, can I get a motion to approve resolution declaring surplus property?
Motion.
Second.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Barogan?
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
13E, can I get a motion to approve recommendation to levy FY22 taxes for certain purposes?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Sterling?
I'm sorry, what was the second?
Oh.
Sue.
Sorry, my voice is changing.
That's your time.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Barogan?
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
13F, can I get a motion for FY22 tax levy resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I'd like to call on that last vote. I didn't hear Sterling vote on the last one, did you? Okay. I'm sorry.
You're good.
He was, can we go with the first and second on this one again?
Larry was first and Kurt was second.
Yes.
Oh. Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Barogan?
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Barogan?
Aye.
And Mr. Sterling?
Aye. 13G, approve FY certificate of tax levy. FY 2022 certificate of tax levy.
So can you just read it as
Yes.
the 2022 certificate of tax levy? Forget FY because that was last year.
All right, 20.
Ah.
Yeah, you know what? I think that last one too needs to read.
All right, well, I
FY.
wrote FY for all.
Yeah, how does that work?
I'm like Ron Burgundy,
Can-
you write it down, I'm gonna read it.
You want a motion to redo,
Yeah.
13E, F, and G?
Motion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can I get a motion to redo 13 E, 13F, and 13G?
Motion.
Second.
Sue Brogan,
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri, aye. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Jill Brogan,
Aye.
Mr. Sterling,
Aye.
and Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
All right, so, just to be clear, I'm gonna write this. So,
No FYs.
yes, this is gonna be 2022.
2022.
All right, let's do it.
So motion to approve.
I need,
Okay.
I need a motion to approve recommendation to levy 2022 taxes for certain purposes.
Motion.
Second.
Mrs. Ranieri, aye. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Jill Brogan,
Aye.
Mr. Sterling,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
and Sue Brogan.
Aye.
Need a motion to approve 2022 tax levy resolution.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Jill Brogan,
Aye.
Mr. Sterling,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Sue Brogan,
Aye.
and Mrs. Ranieri, aye.
Who was the first and second on that?
I think I was second.
First and
First and
second.
second.
Kurt was second, Larry was first.
Okay.
I
couldn't
guess
tell
my
if
name
it
would
was
be
me.
more important than me.
Thank you. All right, lastly, can I get a motion for 2022 certificate of tax levy?
Motion.
Second.
Jill Brogan,
Aye.
Mr. Sterling,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Sue Brogan,
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri, aye, and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Correct. All right, for 13I, there's gonna be a.
13H.
13H first.
Yes, sorry, 13H.
That's it.
We're gonna do the addition of the long-range plan with the additions that Mr. Bloom is going to be handing us, that he discussed.
The document that you received with the last meeting had all the goal statements. I apologize if this one did not, so
It'll
I
have the-
highlighted, Mike, the goal statement that was not in the document that was attached,
So
so.
will
it will
we
be-
get a new one or no?
You will get a new one, but it won't be right at this moment.
Correct, but it'll be with the one that he talked about with this goal statement and the 2022, 2023 strategies.
With addition of goal.
With the omitted goal?
Yes.
Sure.
So we have a motion to approve the 2022-27 long-range plan with addition of goal statement and strategies,
Correct. Yes.
as stated by Dr. Bloom. So we need a first.
First, make a motion.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Mr. Sterling,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Sue Brogan,
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri, aye. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Jill Brogan.
Aye.
A motion to approve the school maintenance project grant opportunity.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Sue Brogan,
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri, aye. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Jill Brogan,
Aye.
and Mr. Sterling.
Aye. I'm gonna make a motion to approve the property tax relief grant application. Motion.
Second.
Sue Brogan,
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri, aye. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Jill Brogan,
Aye.
Mr. Sterling,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve renewal of the 15-month agreement with Panorama Education for Harlem Middle School MTSS team at a cost of $18,050 paid with Title I and Title II funds?
Motion.
Second.
Mrs. Ranieri, aye. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Jill Brogan, Mr.
Aye.
Mr. Sterling,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Sue Brogan.
Aye.
13L, can I get a motion to approve renewal of one-year digital subscription from Mastery Manager for grades 7 through 12 at a total cost of $19,657.95 funded by the ISD budget.
Motion?
Second.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Jill Borogan?
Aye.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Borogan?
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye.
Are there any announcements and discussion?
I actually have to leave. Cheer practice is over, I gotta go get my kiddo.
Okay. Quickly, can I get a motion, or, yeah, can I get a motion to go into executive session, discuss, no, not employment person, safety, security. It is security procedures 5 ILCS 120-2C8.
Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Yeah.
Jill Borogan?
Aye.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Sue Borogan?
Aye.
Mrs. Ranieri? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
All right. And this will last
Board
a month.
took this recess.